Two experts in ICF.
Yeah.
Decades of experience. One podcast.
Yeah.
Two hosts with a lot to say.
Look, I cannot sit through a struggle. I gotta get up and hustle. I gotta push through the pain, cause really that's how you build muscle.
Welcome to the Build With ICF Podcast with your hosts, Trevor Brown and Heather Herring Brown. Yep, they're a package deal. With over 20 years of ICF installation experience, Trevor can throw down some expertise on sales, marketing, and training. On the other side of the table sits Heather, aka the girl boss, and she's earned the title as the owner of an award-winning ICF construction company, a drafting and design company specializing in ICF. And the numbers? With a master's in accounting, she does that too. Sleeves up, boots on. This is the Build With ICF Podcast.
I don't want nothing for free. I'm here to work. I've been through the dirt. I've been through the dirt. Yeah.
All right, welcome back. I don't know if I said it on our last episode, but Happy New Year.
Yeah.
I think we kind of just went into it last time about World of Concrete, and I didn't really say Happy New Year to everybody. And
Just skipped right past it.
I did, but now I've officially said it. So,
Well, you can also, officially say that we are at officially 40 episodes.
40 episodes, which was our goal for our first year, but we didn't quite get there.
Came close.
But, you know,
Missed it by a couple episodes.
Missed it by a couple, yeah.
That's all right. We saved one of the best for 40th is what we did.
Yeah, there we go. We've been talking about this episode for a while.
Yeah, it's been requested. It's been
has
requested
been,
over
yes.
and over. We chased him down. We finally chased him down, corralled him, made him get on here. So
Well, we found the right contact that we could actually, get this all set up with. So
today, everyone finally gets to hear from Quad Lock. We've got Scott Carpenter, who's the technical education manager for Quad Lock. We finally wrestled him in here and got him on. So thank you for coming on, Scott. We're excited to have you on.
Well, thanks for having me on, Trevor and Heather. It's truly an honor to be a part of this. Looking forward to talking about some Quad Lock and getting the message out there and getting people excited to give us a call to gain more information about it. That's for sure.
Well, when we talked about before we started recording, we said, if we're not careful or if Heather wasn't here, we could probably both sit here and talk about ICF for 4 hours and turn it into like a Joe Rogan experience or something. So luckily we got some reins on us, so that's good. But anyways, let's jump right into that. So tell us, first of all, tell us how you got started with Quad Lock, and then I'll let you go into telling us a little bit about Quad Lock and give us your background.
Well, my background really, if I go back far enough, I've always been in construction, right back from my teenage years. Always loved building stuff and what have. Back in the early 2000s, had a few injuries coming out of the construction world and decided to make a switch and got involved with the ICF industry through a local ad in a newspaper at that point in time. And
what's a newspaper?
Yeah, the newspaper of all things. I'm really showing my age at this point in time. So. But yeah, it was the start of a long journey that I've enjoyed being a part of ever since. So, since 2001, I've been involved in the ICF industry with a few different manufacturers, and was my last kind of go around with the manufacturer. I was in sales, so I certainly saw the sales side of things, enjoyed that, and looked forward to getting those sales in place. But at some point in time, I'm always looking for a change and looking to improve myself. So I started kind of searching around to see what else is out there and available, and hooked up with Quad Lock last spring, and have been here for 8 months now, I guess. So yeah, it's been a lot of fun. I've known about Quad Lock for a number of years, through just having to compete against them. So in certain jobs in certain areas. So it's been, it's kind of one of those things where I don't think you can ever not learn every day.
Mm-hmm.
agreed.
Not knowing a lot about Quad Lock when I first came over to them, I've certainly gained a lot of information in a short amount of time. So, and again, it's like any other ICF. I mean, there's preferences, there's things about them that a lot of contractors enjoy, they like. It doesn't matter what the manufacturer product is, but they all have their place and they all fit into the construction world for new construction. And yeah, they're it's really a contractor preference, I think, at this point in time. So
Yeah, we always call it, I like to call it the Ford Chevy thing, right? Like you're you're never going to convince me to buy a Chevy truck, but I love my Ford,
yeah.
but my buddy is going to, he'd never buy a Ford. He thinks it's, found on the road dead. He's a Chevy guy. Yeah. I mean, it's just funny how people get locked into what they're locked into, but I think you have a lot of the same path kind of I do. And that I think is great. I mean, I think it's one of my, one of the more valuable things about me is I've worked with other brands, and so you start to learn those other brands, and it gives you a different perspective coming in to sell. I've made that move from selling against something to selling the product, and it gives you kind of a unique aspect of it because maybe what those pros and cons are that people are trying to talk about. And so extremely valuable. I think that's what I love about guys like you in the industry that are versed in other brands. You're not just a guy that drank one gallon of Kool-Aid and you're just 100% locked in on one brand and can't look outside the box. I think it gives you value. And that's kind of what we try to make this podcast about is we're trying to make a podcast that gives everybody all the information so they can make a good decision. So it's great to have guys like you on to talk about that because you have better perspective than say somebody that's, fresh out of school goes to one brand and never looks at any other brand again. So that's a good value, but tell us a little bit. So let's just pretend that people on here don't know anything about quad lock, which I know that's not even possible. But if they weren't, give us a little bit of background. Two things I'd like to explain. I know people get confused in the ICF industry because we do talk about like air foam, versus quad lock. People will see brands, Amvic gets it with Alligard and almost all the brands have a mother company that own them. And so there's that. But if you could maybe explain a little bit about air foam, a little bit about quad lock, and then let's just go right into explain to people which one quad lock is so they understand what we're talking about here.
So, well, air foam, and again, I'm going to probably mess this up a little bit, but air foam's been around for a number of decades. They really got their start in the packaging realm of EPS molding, foam molding, and things like that. So they cut their teeth in like fish boxes out west, out in the western part of North America, to boxes for transporting human organs, to seedling trays, to anything to do with packaging is really where they cut their teeth. And then, over the years they've had to expand and had to kind of adapt to the changing market, especially in the EPS market and the foam market and how it moves, and looking at more and more of the construction products and how they can, come together with them. But yeah, like quad lock's been around for a while. Again, I'm probably going to mess this up a little bit. I'm going to say 25 years, I would think, somewhere around there, late 1990s to early 2000s, I believe it came into play. It is a panel system, so it comes as EPS panels that are 4 feet long, 12 inches high. It does have connection points or connection webs that hold the two panels together. The great thing about it, when looking at it from the install standpoint, is construction industry, whether you're in the United States or you're in Canada, we still primarily run in the imperial realm of dimensions. So it meets a lot of the requirements for North America when you start looking at wall heights. So you can meet those 1 foot increments very easily with the system. The 4 foot panels make it easy to move around, grab and stack onto a wall. So there's lots of advantages there. Cutting is easy, manipulating the forms to create whatever you're looking to do, whether it be different wall lengths to angles to radius walls to you name it. There's really not too many opportunities that I've run in any type of system, any type of ICF system that would not or could not be created using the systems. And this one is no different. It lends itself to be very flexible, very easy to use for the contractors. Yes, you got to put it together, but it does lend itself in that flexibility they keep coming back to is how it really bodes well for a lot of contractors when they're looking at creating projects that are a little bit unique from your standard rectangular or square box type of buildings. That you got 4 sides and you're stacking up to a certain height. So whatever the combination of requirements that are needed are very easily achieved using this product. So
yeah, I think a lot of people have seen probably when you look on their Instagram or on your website or whatever, you're going to see, the way that you've got the individual panels. So basically everything comes in a panel, so you've got your stack of panels and then you have your box of webs, and the webs are all different color coded. So like kind of makes it easy for people to understand like different colors mean different dimensions or different sizes. And some of the pictures I've seen with you guys that makes it really interesting is the ability to make a switch, by switching webs, just switching the panels to a different size. And you'll see on one project where you may, transition. Obviously we do a lot of 8-6, but I mean, really the kind of unlimited as far as just being able to switch out those webs.
Yeah, and the other unique thing about it is we can start adding additional EPS foam or insulation to the outside or the inside of the wall, depending on what the requirements are. So, as we start looking at trying to build more energy efficient structures, and there's always arguments back and forth. And Trevor, you and I we could probably go into our own podcast with this on insulation values and where they need to go, whether it has to be on the inside or the outside, the additional insulation. Those, but those are some of the unique features that Quadlock does bring to the construction industry, is the fact that we can add on additional panels as required to meet even up to a passive house or a passive building design to reach those high insulation values. So whether it be anywhere from an R24 all the way up to, if you needed to, an R60 if required. So those are certainly things that can be achieved using the product, and that that goes well or goes in line with the different web configurations, the connection points, how we can kind of add on and not affect the performance of the wall. So,
do you guys think that you have any specific industry that you guys target? Like, I mean, do you guys think you're pretty, looking across your company, are you guys pretty evenly spread in commercial, residential, different things? Or is there anything that you think kind of you guys lend yourself to better, even throwing like DIY in there as a separate entity or a separate category, because there is so much DIY in our industry, seeing as that it is, and the, in the block you assemble, the shipping is different. Obviously, there's a huge benefit to bringing in the panels and things separately. You can get a lot more block in a smaller space. So, I mean, is there something you guys see like that you think you guys lean towards, or is your specialty?
Well, I mean, obviously, if we're looking at the different types of construction methods and what's out there, we still tend to lean or heavily into the residential market. That's kind of our bread and butter. That's where we like to play a lot. We do go into the commercial market, but I wouldn't say as much. Just more than anything, there's the commercial market's a different animal. It's all about speed. It's all about efficiency, and we are efficient to a point, but we also know where we fit in. We can, we typically we go up to 6 stories without any issues. Other ICFs, and I've been involved in ICFs, we've gone up to, other ICFs have been well beyond 25 stories in building heights. So, but we've kind of figured that our main area of where we like to play is the unique residential market, where you have a lot of not hard but intriguing wall types and design types that people have pushed the envelope of buildings, so we can fit those very very easily. So
it plays in,
obviously some of the voltage.
Yeah, it plays into what we talk about all the time. It is, don't overthink it. It's a form, and what you're trying to use is make it easy to make the shapes that you need to make with the product. And so that's, where a lot of those, when you get into some tricky angles or sizes or different things, having some flexibility there is huge in this, because, all the time we get people that just kind of overthink it, and you're like, it's okay. Just, move the foam, use some wood, use another form, whatever you got to do, but you make the concrete the size it needs to be. And as soon as it gets hard, it's going to stay that way for a million years. So you just have to, the flexibility of being able to change things up is a really, really, kind of important part of it. And having the ability to do that for people makes the project go easier. So that's what's really nice about it being so flexible.
Yeah, and that's why I say we're very, we play in that market. Can we play in the bigger markets of the publicly funded schools, the big high rises or mid rise, if you want to say 25 stories is mid rise? Yeah, we could play in there. That's not an issue. It's not really our main focus. We don't try to go after that stuff. We kind of stay within, a niche, not a niche, but an area that we're comfortable playing in.
Smart.
So that's residential, strip plaza type ideas, up to 6 stories. And I can tell you from an ICF standpoint and the history I've been involved with it, I've talked to many different developers, contractors, and they will tell you that really the ICF industry's main niche area where they should stick within is that 10 stories below.
Mm-hmm.
Because with all the equipment that's required, once you start going beyond 10 stories, you're into overhead cranes, you're into line go up through the center of the building for placement booms. Like you're into millions and millions of dollars of equipment that has to be added on to the cost of the building. Where you stay 10 stories and below, you're into mobile equipment, mobile pumps, mobile telehandlers, all these things that make it easy to build in. There's no need for us to be going beyond 10 stories. We fit that area very well from a cost standpoint, and with everybody trying to cut costs and make sure that they stay within their budget. Those are the areas. So that's where we really play well, as I say, usually 6 to 10 stories and below. And then obviously the residential market is still huge.
Yeah.
We need to continue to build our structures better.
Yeah, we're living through right now. I mean, the topical thing is California burning down right now. I mean, that's what we're watching every day, and it's the talk of our industry right now. Is and it's probably going to prompt its own little episode. I think that Heather and I will probably bust out. But we've been very involved in California. That's another thing we talked about off camera was some of the stuff you read on these Facebook pages, and it's been some of the uneducated people, I'll say in a polite way, that are on there just running their mouth about stuff. And it's just so funny how people say, oh, even an ICF house would have burned to the ground in this. And I'm like, no, man, I've been involved in this for over 20 years. I've been on the ground at these fires multiple times in California. We were there for Paradise Fire. We were there in San Bernardino. We've been through these fires, and we have survivor houses and ICF houses that are still standing, and we've got tons of them. So there is a lot of fact to, I believe this is going to get on my soapbox a little bit, but I believe we have a duty in the ICF industry to get the word out that we can build these resilient houses in a way that are not going to burn down. We can stop these fires from happening from a construction standpoint. Spreading. Right. Because of what people, they're looking at this thing and they're talking about underbrush and forests and all this stuff. And I've sat and talked for hours on end with these fire scientists, and they will tell you it's not the underbrush and the trees that are catching everything on fire. It's a house catching another house on fire. And if this fire doesn't prove it more than anything, LA, there's no forest in downtown LA. Palisades burned because every house was catching the house next to it on fire. The palm trees were not a forest of palm trees that were burning, and they couldn't stop it. They couldn't stop the houses from burning. So if we could build concrete houses that don't burn, we will all the houses that we had in Paradise had asphalt shingles and wood trusses. So that was something, another kind of a BS thing I saw on the Facebook pages was, well, it doesn't matter if the trusses are wood or if the windows have wood around them or if this is blah, blah, blah. No, it did. I have houses that survived Paradise, which was just as bad, just as nasty a fire. And they survived because they were an ICF walled house even with the asphalt shingle roof. So you're 100% correct. We have so much to do in the residential market that it's, we really don't even need to be worried about some of this big high-rise stuff as much as we just need to get people to keep building with concrete and get away from the building with firewood.
Exactly. So I was gonna say, to get kind of back towards quad lock, because your guys' block is different than so many of the pre-manufactured where they come all set up. What kind of accessories does quad lock provide through their distributors for the block specifically?
Right. So what we also carry is a starter track for starting on top of the footer or footing or base, whether it be a slab on grade, whatever the case may be. So there is a starter track there, which helps guide and it locks the bottom of the form in place. Obviously, we're very adaptable, as are most, but any bracing system. So there is a temporary bracing system that does have to be applied after you reach a certain wall height before the concrete gets set into the form itself. And that works as a bracing system to keep the wall aligned, plumb, square. It also works as a working platform for the workers to work off of. Obviously it has to cover off on all safety aspects, but those are some of the key things.
Do you guys work with a specific brand as far as, do you guys have a partnership or anything, or you work with all of them?
We can work with all of them. They're all pretty much universal. Okay. We do a lot of work with Plum Wall. They've been very forthcoming with us and work with our distribution network as far as having the bracing system available to them in a nice package so that it's easy to move around. And that's some of the other things too. That's probably one of the biggest challenges to us, Quadlock, and also to the industry, is the bracing system is got to be mobile enough and light enough for people to grab and put onto the walls. But yeah, as far as other accessories, we do have some other clips, top of wall clips. We have to smooth off the top of the wall, so it gives you a nice flat surface. We can also create that using the form system and some of the lost my train of thought here.
Are you guys lined up with all, like, as far as like floor hanger stuff? Are you guys connected up with any specific brand, with Watkins or Berman or Simpson or just
nobody's specific? I mean, they're pretty much all universal with all the manufacturers, so they can all be used with us and anybody else. So yeah, we can always suggest, and that's why we've always got a long list of accessory products that we can suggest for floor systems. We do carry peel and stick waterproof membrane from the outside for below grade applications. Above grades, as we start moving through, and some of these other things, and the exterior finishes as they change and their requirements change, we're always looking at new products to, for example, WRBs, water resistant barriers, are starting to become a bigger thing underneath certain exterior finishes. So we've got to look at some of those and have them available to our distributors and distribution network. But a lot of those are compatible with the Quadlock system. Flashing materials around openings. I mean, again, there's so many peel and stick materials out there, so they're all compatible with our
That's
system.
awesome.
So it's
and I think that's the most important. I mean, honestly, that's what's great, is being flexible, being able to work with everybody on that stuff. It just makes it easier to use your product. I mean, that's what's some things that have just rules and regulations. Certain things you have to use with it. It's it's different for people to get kind of locked into being able to be flexible to grab stuff from different, especially if you're dealing with different distributors or something, and maybe your distributor doesn't have something, you can bounce over to somebody else and grab what you need from them. So it makes it a lot easier for everybody.
Some of the other things, we look at too, which is starting to be a bigger deal within our system and all the systems, but Quadlock specifically, we're looking for is synthetic fibers for in the concrete. So it cuts back on the amount of reinforcing steel that goes in. We're looking at GFRPs, so graphite reinforced or having a brain cramp here Monday morning.
Like that, yeah.
Fiberglass rebars.
Fiberglass rebars and stuff. Yeah, been a hot topic right now.
So look. Yeah, it is. It is very much. And if we can lighten the material going into the wall, that still gives it the strength and the requirements that it needs. Those are some of the things we want to have available to say, if you're using Quadlock system, this is another product that can be compatible with us. And those are big. Everybody's talking. The big tagline, as you've probably heard, is carbon neutral and reduce the carbon output and all these great things about carbon, which steel is probably one of the worst products out there for embedded carbons that everybody talks about. So we're obviously looking at that. We've reached out to some of these companies to create tables specific to Quadlock for us to have that, whether it be synthetic fibers to go into the wall as a helper to the reinforced fiberglass rebar. So we're, as I say, we're always looking at these. Can we carry them in house with as a one-stop shop, we always look at those to see what's, even right down to even screws, attachment screws and things like that for, making exterior strapping, whatever the case may be. We go right in as deep as we can to make it easy for our customers to adapt our walls to basic construction techniques and needs. So that's the key. That's
a good segue too into one of the things I was going to ask. It would kind of ask everybody is education side of it. Obviously, you're the technical education manager. Does Quadlock have a, as far as education classes and stuff like that, installer trainings and stuff like that people can get involved with?
Yeah, we do have a one-day installer class. We try to post these, when we do get the questions asked or in a region. So it's a one-day course, covers off on the basic installation techniques of how to put Quadlock together. A lot of demonstration, which is good, I think, for the construction industry, specifically the contractors and the people that are in the trenches. They like the outside. They like to be working with products. They work well with their hands. So for us, looking at it from, how can we connect with them? A lot of demonstration. They like that. They don't want to sit back and have somebody talk to them at the front of a classroom for 8 hours a day. And
you can do that on YouTube.
Yeah, they need to get up and start playing with the product and grabbing it and utilizing it and putting a wall together, because that's where they really perform, and that's how their brain thinks. It thinks in that way that, okay, if I grab it and start playing with it, I learn it that way. Whereas, some people are not. They learn through books. Contractors typically and their crews typically learn through hands-on experience. So we try and give them as much hands-on experience as we possibly can.
Well, and
go ahead.
I was gonna say that's super important. Hands-on is one of those things, like, we've got to get, in order to educate and get people to even look at switching, we've got to get them to put their hands on the block and see just how simple it can be. And so that's crucial. Where exactly do you guys, a lot of people ask after we have a podcast, so I wanted to ask this of, the manufacturer, where do you guys manufacture the blocks at?
So we have 3 locations that we're currently manufacturing. Obviously, always looking at expanding. The company is in a very big growth and acquirement mode, I guess, if you want to call it that. But we do currently manufacture in BC, the lower mainland of BC, Vancouver, Surrey area. We have a brand new facility that just opened 2 years ago in Ontario, which is in Paris, Ontario, kind of about an hour and a half, hour and 40 minutes from Toronto. And then we do have a manufacturing facility down in Georgia, just outside of Atlanta, in Billerica. So we do have those locations. I mean, obviously, we're always looking at expanding our manufacturing in different regions. But one of the great advantages about Quadlock is the fact that it come as panelized system with the webs as separate pieces to it. So we can ship it around the countryside pretty easily and get a lot of product in the back of a trailer to get it to site or to wherever it needs to get to for that particular project. So that's one of the biggest advantages that we do have.
Do you guys work currently through distribution channels, or do people reach out to you guys directly, or how does someone listening, what's the best way for them to get a hold of some Quadlock?
Well, we are pushing towards a distribution network. It definitely helps, obviously keep the company, from getting so personnel heavy that, we need local representation, and that local representation really gets in check with the contractors and the owners. Do we still talk to them? Absolutely. We won't shy away, especially if we don't have necessarily a distributor in a certain market. Obviously, we don't want to lose that opportunity, that lead. So we will, from time to time, deal with those one-offs. But yeah, really working through distribution and a network of distributors through North America is really the key for us to be successful and get into those markets, get in front of the contractors, do the local trade shows, get the word out there. And that's key.
Yeah.
They have those connections with those local people. They would become a part of the local building associations and things like that, where they can get in front of and talk more about the product. So those are the key things that we put in front of them. So
yeah, the local feet on the street is a big thing.
Well, and I think it's the DIY. We get this all the time. It's been for over 20 years of doing this. It's a constant battle of people trying to go around you because they want to go get the best deal, and they feel like they're cutting somebody out. They're going to get a better deal. And I cannot tell you literally in the hundreds of times that I've got calls from people saying that they've, figured out a way to go around somebody, and then they call you as a manufacturer up going, yeah, I don't have anybody here can you guys send somebody here to come and look at this or help me with this? Or do you guys have alignment system? I go, no, that's what the local distributor, the guy you were supposed to buy this from, would be the guy you would be calling, and he would gladly come over there today and help you, or he would gladly supply XYZ to you. So big pitch for that. If you can find a local distributor to help you, that's the benefit of working through local distribution. And a lot of times, it's not, different manufacturers have different price levels. A lot of times you're not buying it any better. They're not going to sell it to you at a distributor price. They give the distributors a discount for that reason. So, the other one that we have run into all the time is people that will buy outside of a distributor, and then they end up with extra block or they're short block, and they go, well, now what do? I got to buy a whole truckload to finish out my job. So definitely benefits to working with local distribution. We're a local distributor, so I'm kind of preaching for myself a little bit here, but that is a big part of it. So know that you're gaining that benefit when you work through local distribution.
Yeah. And
there's something to be said for that local distribution too. I mean, it's as you said, you pointed it out. It's about having, God, I'm a couple of panels short. I got concrete coming shortly. Right. Can you run these out to me? It really, now you're starting to pay for the convenience. You're starting to pay for the fact that you can call somebody up and say, I'm in a pinch. I need this now, and I won't delay my job.
Yeah, exactly.
And those are huge.
Yep.
Exactly.
Construction.
Well, so at this point in a podcast, we usually go into our 3 questions that we ask all of our guests. So the first question, Scott, is can you tell us about a memorable experience with Quad Lock, either on a job or just with ICF in general?
So new at this, though. So I do have a memorable experience. I think getting out. Of course, I'm based in Ontario, Canada, just a little bit north of Toronto, but having the opportunity to go to our corporate head office, which is in Surrey, BC. And I was able to do that quite a bit last 2024, and getting out to a few of the jobs that they had locally in and around the area, and seeing a particular job that really caught my attention that included our quad deck series and our quad lock as a combination, but seeing how that building was constructed from the contractor's point of view, and it was, I think it was 2 stories in the ground. It was built on the side of a hill, built 2 stories into the ground. They utilized the different core thicknesses of our web configuration with the panel system. And it really opened up my eyes to understanding even more so than what I did before, what you can build with the product. And it's not nearly as difficult as what some of the naysayers will say about a certain product. It's very, very flexible. This contractor is absolutely in love with the product. His crew loves it, and they build some pretty spectacular structures with it. So that was really one of my favorable memories that I have from just even last summer. I mean, Trevor, as you and I said, we could go back 20 years and I could talk about all the other ones, but that was one of the ones that was really cool to be a part of and get a chance to actually set foot on site and get a chance to walk around and see what they have been doing and how they constructed this using the panel system with the integrated webs and the web system that we have. So it was cool. It was really a neat project to be able to go and watch and see them and talk to.
Well, you even teased a little bit there for our very astute listeners that picked up on the quad deck that you do have a decking and flooring product. We've stayed away from it a little bit. So because we are going to be recording another episode that will be specifically about quad deck and the decking and roofing product. So If anyone heard that and you get, what? Hold on, he didn't talk about that. Well, listen for the next episode with Scott. We're going to be doing a second episode with Scott regarding that product. So little teaser for everybody to listen for a few episodes from now. We will have him back on and we will be talking about that. So,
okay. So our next question, you are fairly new to Quad-Lock. Like you said, you've been there about 8 months, but what are you excited about in the ICF industry and with Quad-Lock?
Well, with Quad-Lock specifically, I'm excited for the opportunities that I see that we have. I mean, I don't, having been very fortunate to work with numerous other manufacturers, I've always looked at things as another manufacturer is not our competition. My competition is wood frame buildings, concrete masonry units, cast and poured in place concrete, steel space frame, all those other different types of building methods, including tilt up for that matter. And I really see our opportunity to grow our business and the Quad-Lock line moving forward is tremendous. We have nowhere to go but up. I mean, we've stayed kind of at a steady pace all the way along, but I can really see huge opportunities for the product to gain more market share. It's going to obviously help with all the new code requirements coming in for better insulated buildings. We talked briefly about the fires in LA. I mean, those are going to be some of the things that are going to be talked about, and in California, and how we deal with those areas. Tornado Alley is still a big problem that we still see a lot of continual building just to get their lives back in place, after a major disaster, something of those lines. But, again, those are areas where Quad-Lock can excel to build those buildings back to get people's lives back in place and, reduce a lot of things, insurance, replacement values, replacement costs, getting them back into their structure a lot quicker after an event, whether it be fire or tornadoes or
keeping them safe during the event.
And keeping them safe during the event. So those are the things that I really think that, we can build on as a company, excuse me, and a product line. And I'm really looking forward to helping and being part of that moving forward.
Yeah, I think that's a great answer. And I beat this drum a lot, but one of the things I love about our industry is the fact that there's, if any, infighting in the industry. You look at a group like the ICFMA, which is just a bunch of manufacturers, all the top manufacturers banding together to grow our industry. I think it's awesome that we're all friends and we can be, as years and years as a rep in the industry, have had very few problems with any other reps. Everybody's always about growing our industry against the stick frame guys. And it is us against stick frame and other things out there, obviously, but super great to see when we have incidents like these fires and different things. I experienced it a lot in Southern California, where in Northern California, at the last fire, at the Paradise Fires campfire, standing in a room with literally 8 different manufacturer reps, all of us selling, technically competitors coming together just to try to get people to build a safer home. And so, great answer. I think that is what it's all about. It's not about us infighting within our industry. It's about us growing and trying to get that 90% of the industry that's not building with ICF right now. So that's really awesome. So now I will let you be a little bit mean here. You don't have to be nice all the time. This is the third and final question where you get to be, a little cocky at least.
This is where you get to put your sales skills to work.
This is where it goes. This is where we can bat, Okay. So no, the third question this is always, obviously the whole episode's kind of a pitch about your product, but specifically as we close off and can bring this episode to an end, what do you want people to remember most about Quad-Lock? What's the direct, why Quad-Lock, I guess, is the best question.
Well, I want them to remember and always look at the fact that, don't always listen to the naysayers, or don't always listen to the negativity about any particular brand of block. They all have their purpose, their area of expertise where they really fit in. You hear all of these different naysayers saying, "Oh, it's too many products, it's too many pieces, it's too hard, it's too cumbersome." And it really is not. And that's one of the things that, having been in the industry for so long, and having been involved with a few different block systems, it once you get using it, it's not a difficult system to pick up. It's very easy. It's flexible. It gives you a lot of opportunities to create some pretty unique features in any infrastructure. So the flexibility, the ease of use, the amount of different steps that you can check off in one nice, neat package. So, you check off the fact you got your structure, you got your insulation on both sides of the wall, you've got your fastening capabilities for interior finishes, exterior finishes. The foam itself is a closed cell foam, so it does act the same as a vapor barrier on the inside. The exterior, solid mass of concrete, whether people know it or not, is considered, especially when it's monolithic, is considered an air barrier. So it doesn't allow that air to pass through. So it gives you a complete 6-step package all in one step. So you're cutting out 5 other areas just by using the system itself. So, and I guess, as I said, the biggest thing is just get out and try it. I think a lot of people would be pleasantly surprised at how easy it is to use, and how how they can create some pretty cool projects with it.
That's awesome. That's perfect. And I think we will be putting all your information to reach out to you in the show notes. So we'll reach out to you guys on Instagram, and I know I've looked up here I was going to pull it up just to make sure, but quadlock.com is your guys' website. Pretty easy. I will post up.
You get to it through airfoam.com also, and then it'll feed you. There's a thing there that can feed you down through to the Quadlock site. So again, either one of those 2 sites will get you there. But yes.
Perfect. And then we see it is quadlock_ICF is at quadlock_ICF on Instagram. We have a lot of Instagram followers. That's where we get a lot of our DMs and messages through. So I know a lot of people follow people on that. So you guys are available there. We've definitely got a lot of different ways to get a hold of you. The other big one is we've got the World of Concrete coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and the Builders Show. Do you put you on the spot? Do you know your booth number there offhand, or is okay?
Yeah, I do. I just pulled it up through my email. So we are going to be at World of Concrete. We're looking forward to that from January 21st to the 23rd. And we will be at booth number N as in Nancy 3362. So please stop by and see us. We'd be more than happy to talk to you. And if you can't make it to World of Concrete, obviously come out and see us at the IBS show, International Builders Show Conference, I guess as they call it, from February 25th through to the 27th. And our booth there is C as in Carpenter. I'll use that as my plug. 3349. So that's our booth number. That's C3349. So again, either or, come out and visit us. We'd be more than happy to talk Quadlock and about all of our other products that we currently have. But obviously, we'd be very excited to talk to you about Quadlock for sure.
Well, come out and get your picture taken with Scott and say, "Yeah, I heard you on the podcast," and now you're a celebrity now for being on the podcast. But
and then tag it and hashtag Build With ICF, and then you might win a T-shirt or some swag.
There you go. Another way to win some Build With ICF swag. Take a selfie with Scott at the World of Concrete or Builders Show and tag us in it, and that can put you in for a T-shirt. So
perfect. Yeah,
we'll put all that information in the show notes just for everybody, so we can make sure that everybody can find you, and we will be out there as well. Like I said, we'll be posting on our Instagram page what I have scheduled some times that people have asked for us to come by and hang out in different booths. So I'll put my schedule on there for World of Concrete. So if anyone wants to swing by and say hi, we'll be in some different manufacturer booths throughout World of Concrete for an hour at a time here and there. So I will post that on our Instagram, which is at Build With ICF, like all of our socials. And also you can shoot us email at info@buildwithicf.com.
You can submit your questions online on our website. We do get those immediately. So yeah, just.
And we are building up. We've got some episodes coming up with some some listener questions that are going to be coming out here pretty soon. So we do have to squeeze those in here somewhere in between these trips to the World of Concrete and Builder Show and all the different stuff. So we will be squeezing those in there, but keep them coming. We love it. That gives us some really good content because these are the questions that we're asking about. I definitely know we are going to be bringing up doing some fire stuff, just because that's a very topical question right now for everybody. And I'm seeing a lot of misinformation out there on the Facebook pages. So
yeah, we're going to be talking about everything from hurricanes to fires. So everything from the natural disasters, the last 6 months or so.
So anyways, I think that's going to be about it, unless you
we've gone over our normally scheduled time. So I think we let our listeners go this time, and we'll see you guys on the next podcast. Thank you, Scott.
Thank you, Heather. Thank you, Trevor. Appreciate it. Appreciate you giving me the time to talk about Quad Lock and how we can help out future builds and people that are interested in using our product.
Yep. And if you need another Scott fix, we'll be recording another episode about the flooring system here shortly. So just keep watching. A couple episodes down the road, we'll have another one for you. So thanks again, Scott. This has been awesome. Like I said, very requested by our listeners to want to hear from you and Quad Lock. So really appreciate you guys coming on here and doing this, or you coming on here and doing this. So with that, thank you, everybody. We appreciate our listeners. We couldn't be doing this without you guys. We love hearing feedback from what you want from us and feedback that you're enjoying the show. That's exactly why we do it. So everyone have a great day, and we will catch you on episode 41.